Welcome to another Monday recap. This is Frank Neely here again to talk about the Packers tying with the Minnesota Vikings yesterday evening in a game where it pretty much looked like the Packers were gonna walk away with the win, but unfortunately things occurred in the fourth quarter late in the game that ended the game in a tie. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. First thing I'm gonna say is sorry that this video is late. I had some things I had to take care of today, but better late than never, I guess. The most important thing about this game was that we needed to come away with a win. Period. The Vikings are the favorite team to win the division, and the Packers need to take this home game. Given how we got to play the game, we play the Vikings again later on in Minnesota. So the Packers needed to win this game. Period. We had to win this game because at the very least we could at least split with the Vikings. It's going to be extremely tough to go into Minnesota and win. And if we wanted to win the division, we needed to win. We needed to beat them here. So the Packers failed to do that, and we tied, which sucks ass, simply because this was our game to win. It was. It reminded me, the way this game ended, it reminded me a lot of the game versus the Chicken Hawks in the NFC division game, where we played well on defense and we kept them out of the end zone, didn't allow any big plays, and then we just all of a sudden collapsed late in the game. Gave up the winning touchdown to send Seattle back to the Super Bowl. So I got flashbacks to that game. The difference was that this was a regular season game, and it ended on a tie instead of an actual victory by the opposing team, though it almost could have won. This tie will almost certainly come back and bite us in the ass when fighting for a playoff spot in this already deep NFC. The AFC is wide open like it always is, but as far as the NFC goes, we got a lot of teams in the NFC that looks good this year, and it's gonna be battling for playoff spots. So it's gonna really fuck us over in the long run. We're trying to get a playoff spot if we don't at least win at least about 10 games, 10 to 11 games. So the first score of the game was off a block punt by Geronimo Allison that Josh Jackson caught and took into the end zone. That was a great play on special teams by Geronimo, and it's not very often that we score off special teams, so that was nice. The Vikings then responded with a touchdown pass, the treadmill that tied it up. The Packers then scored 10 unanswered points in the second quarter. Our defense was able to shut out the Vikings offense in the second and third quarters. But then the fourth quarter came, and you got to give credit to the Vikings defense for keeping them in the game throughout and not allowing Green Bay to run up the scoreboard, holding us to a bunch of field goals in the second half. Mason Crosby did a good job booming those kicks when he had the opportunities. but man, that fourth quarter, the Vikings were able to score 22 points in the fourth quarter. And that's just unacceptable when you're in a division game as important as this. And it just seemed like the defense finally cracked and ran out of steam. It all started when Kevin King got hurt his groin and had to come out of the game, and Devon House came in for him. And right away when I saw Devon House in the game, I just knew at some point he would end up getting beat down the field for a big play. I knew it was going to happen. It was only a matter of time. And then sure enough, early in the fourth quarter, he got beat badly, just badly by Stephon Diggs before a 75-yard touchdown that quickly shifted the momentum of the game. And I was just, man, I was pissed. Absolutely pissed because of the fact that we gave up a quick touchdown, and but also the coverage was just absolutely horrible. Devon House is just not a good corner, and he gets beat downfield all the damn time. It's one of the main reasons why he's what, fifth on the depth chart, sixth on the depth chart as far as like defensive backs. That's the reason why. But it's not all completely his fault because it was also because of bad safety play. Kentrell Bryce was supposed to come over with safety help over the top and completely failed to do so. So that was huge. Both of those guys played terrible on that play and allowed Stephon Diggs to get downfield open for that touchdown. So it was now 23-21, with the Vikings holding us into another field goal and scoring a touchdown on offense. The Vikings then got the ball back, and they were looking to drive down the field in a 2-minute drive to take the lead, but their wide receiver dropped the ball that tipped into Clinton Diggs' hands, and he picked it off, and he ran it back to inside the 20-yard line. So you think that maybe the game was over, but it wasn't. When picked the ball off, when he picked it off, the Vikings, it was still 2 minutes and 5 seconds left in the game, so the Vikings still had a 2-minute warning and 2 timeouts left to stop the clock. And instead of Mike McCarthy just running the clock down and making them waste those timeouts, he elected to pass the ball instead. And I was furious, man. Because sure enough, we failed on both those pass attempts. The Vikings defense was starting to play even better in the second half. Okay, like I said, they were holding us to field goals. Okay, sure, there were a couple of penalties on our last few of our drives that could have maybe went for some touchdowns, but overall they were playing better in the second half, holding us to just field goal attempts. And all I wanted for us to do at that point was just run the clock down. Just run the clock down and make the damn Vikings waste their timeouts. But no, Mike McCarthy elects to pass the ball, and sure enough, those pass attempts both went incomplete, and the Vikings didn't have to spend not one timeout. They still had both their timeouts when they got the ball back. It was just an awful drive with just terrible clock management again by Mike McCarthy. And then this is one of my biggest problems with this dude. And the next drive, sure enough, Cousins, he gets hit before the Vikings scored. Cousins got hit by Clay Matthews as he threw it up. Jair Alexander picked the ball off, and you thought that maybe finally that was going to seal the game for us. But no, the referees called stupid bullshit pass interference on Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews gets hit by another pass, roughing the passer, but this one was a whole lot worse, just simply because of the fact that he threw it immediately when Kirk Cousins was releasing the ball, and the hit was fine. But instead, the referees determined the outcome right there by calling that and allowed the fucking Vikings drive to continue. And sure enough, they scored and tied it up. And then we're going into overtime. Aaron Rodgers tried to move the ball downfield quickly within 35 seconds, and that set up Mason Crosby for one last kick in regulation. But unfortunately, he missed at the booming 5 kicks straight. Four or five kicks. After making all those kicks in a row, he finally missed at the end, which was huge, because if he did that, we would have never went to overtime. But it was what it was. And then sure enough, we go into overtime, and the Vikings win the toss. I'm just like, oh, great, here we gotta go again. The defense is playing terrible now, and now once again we gotta watch Aaron Rodgers lose a game on the sideline where he never gets to actually come into the game in overtime. But the Vikings, man, their kicker was absolutely garbage. He missed all his field goal attempts, and and 2 times he had a chance to win this game for his team, and he missed both kicks. It was, it was a big sign of relief, but at the same time, if you're a Vikings fan, you had to been pissed, man, because that guy was absolutely horrible, and he could have won the game at least 2 times for the Vikings, but he fucked up and he missed both kicks. So that definitely worked in our favor. Unfortunately, the Packers, in their ensuing drive, the only time they touched the ball in overtime, we drove the ball downfield. We got in the field goal range, but then Rodgers took a sack, which was a killer. It was an absolutely fucking killer. And then, like I said, the Vikings, they had the ball one more time. Kirk Cousins led them down the field. The kicker missed the kick, and then the game ended on a tie. So take what you want from it, man. You can argue that we should have won the game, which we really should have, which I was saying in the beginning. I know there's gonna be some Vikings fans saying, "Oh, we should have won the game," but really, this was the Packers' game to win. This game should have been over around the time when Ha picked off Kirk Cousins. The Vikings should have never been in position to tie that game up had they not called that awful penalty on Clay Matthews and got the ball again in overtime. On top of the fact of the defense just absolutely folding, so those things need to be cleaned up. But as far as overall performance, I thought the offense looked okay, especially going up against the Vikings. The Vikings obviously had the best defense in the NFC, next to the Rams and the Eagles. So it was going to be tough playing and trying to get the offense going, especially with a one leg Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, he threw the ball 42 times. He completed 30 for 281 yards and 1 touchdown. Not bad, but he was hurried a lot. There was a lot of pressure on him, and he went down for at least 3 or 4 sacks. So you got to give the Vikings defense credit. Like I said, they kept us out of the end zone and only allowed field goals the entire second half. So, but it was still okay on our part because we didn't turn the ball over. And there was a lot of good game plan going on with a lot of quick short passes to our wide receivers, allowing those guys to get open on quick screens and slants and letting them just pick up yards after the catch. Devontae Adams caught 8 catches for 64 yards and 1 TD. Jimmy Graham had a much better game this week. He caught 9 catches, 95 yards, and had a touchdown taken away off a dumb holding penalty. The run game wasn't bad. Jamal Williams picked up 59 yards or 16 carries. Ty Montgomery only 30 yards and 5 carries. So yeah, not nothing special statistically, but when we gave those guys the ball, they picked up some yardage, man. But really, when Aaron Jones returns from suspension, the run game should improve. The run game was completely ignored at the end when we really needed to run the clock down. Like I said, Mike McCarthy, he can go fuck himself as far as I'm concerned, because I'm so sick and tired of him abandoning the run in these type of situations. And we ran the ball and made them use all their timeouts, they would have never been in a position to call that last timeout the ice Mason Crosby. He would have banged that kick home. And I know some people will say, well, he's still a kicker, he should do his job. That's true. But they would have never been in a position to call that timeout had Mike McCarthy just ran the damn ball. After picked off Kirk Cousins, he should have just ran the damn ball to run the clock down and had the Vikings waste their timeouts. So fuck Mike McCarthy. This was just another poor game that he had managing the game. It was awful. Just poor game management once again by Mike McCarthy. And it's amazing how people don't call him. He never gets called out for it. He never gets called out for his poor game managing. He is terrible when it comes to clock management. He is terrible. Absolutely terrible, especially with all the wasted timeouts by us early in the game. So that needs to be addressed. As far as the defense looked good for 3 quarters. The coverage was excellent. The young guys and Tremont were able to cause a couple of coverage sacks. And remember, when I said that coverage sacks, and they held, and before the full quarter, they held Cousins to only 1 touchdown with 206 passing yards. That's not bad. But then they just completely choked and just folded by giving up 291 yards and 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, man. That is pitiful and no excuse for it. All right, the pass defense has got to play better than that down the stretch. You can't just play well for just 3 quarters. You got to play well throughout the entire game. I know Kevin King leaving the game was a huge blow because he was the main primary assignment for Stephon Diggs, but at the end of the day, it's still no excuse to allow Kirk Cousins or any quarterback to go off like that towards the end. And again, it all started with that long touchdown to Stephon Diggs. So that needs to be cleaned up. All right, this is why we drafted corners in the first place and brought back Tremont Williams, to not allow this type of stuff to happen. All right. Kirk Cousins finished the game with completing 35 passes on 48 attempts for 425 yards and 4 touchdowns. That is horrible. And if the pass defense folds again next week, Alex Smith is no doubt going to have his best game of the season so far. It just also doesn't help the fact. It also, you know what? I'll defend the defensive backs when I say this. It also doesn't help those guys when we don't have a pass rush. I'm sorry, but I got to call it like I see it. We're also lacking a pass rush, man. Guys like Mike Daniels, Clark Wilkinson, they're run stoppers, okay? The pass rush mainly comes from the outside from guys like Clay Matthews and Nick Perry. And those guys just aren't getting it done. They just aren't. Clay Matthews is shot. He's just completely unable to win one-on-one battles. And Nick Perry will just have a good game every so often. So the pass rush is extremely lacking. And at the end of the day, somebody who just only casually watches football, they won't understand that the game is won in the trenches, man. When your defense and your defensive line is able to get pressure on the quarterback, you create mistakes. When you don't get pressure on the quarterback, when you're unable to get any pressure and rush them, then it's going to be a problem. It doesn't matter who's back there, quarterback. Any quarterback is going to pick your secondary apart, no matter how talented it may be. A quarterback with too much time to throw the ball will take advantage because eventually somebody will come open. So the Packers right now, in my opinion, are just one pass rush away from having a good defense. Not a great defense, but just a good defense. Above average to good defense. We're just one pass rush away from that. Unfortunately, we just don't have one. And that's going to hurt this entire season. And you saw it yesterday. I mean, for example, look at the Vikings. Their pass rush, it worked when it worked. And they also were calling blitzes that also helped get home and stop drives that kept us out of the end zone. So that's what getting pressure on the quarterback does. So next year's draft, I really hope the Packers go out there pass rusher because we desperately need one. And at the very least, can you at least give Reggie Gilbert some more damn snaps? All right, give the guy some more damn snaps and see what he's able to do. So overall, man, I'm extremely disappointed that we did not come away with this win. We had many opportunities to put this game away, and we just didn't. The defense, I'm also disappointed that they folded in the final quarter. Mike Pettin and the boys better get together next week, or it's gonna be worse. I'm just so tired of these quarterbacks always having their best games against us. It always happens every time because our pass defense is such garbage. So we need those guys to play better. We need them to play good throughout the entire game, not just 3 quarters. And like I said, Mike McCarthy can go fuck himself. He's a terrible game manager. He's horrible with clock management, and he almost fucked it up for us again. Somebody eventually needs to call his ass out for that shit. If I gotta be the one to do it, fine, I will. But that's it. The video is gonna end here. All I'm gonna say is fuck the Vikings, man. I wanted to beat their ass, to go up to go up 2-0 in the division, be standing up there by ourselves. But unfortunately, we didn't. So we come away with a tie. Like I said, it's gonna bite us in the ass and eventually down the stretch. But for now, it is what it is. We tied with the Vikings, and so now the Packers are gonna come down here to Washington to play the Skins, and we just better be ready for that game. But that's all I got. I'm out of here. Peace.